Well, hello everyone, it's Bill here, and I'd like to formally welcome you to the first Cracker Cup Challenge. So this is Cracker Cup Challenge number 1, brought to you by www.wordcracking.xyz. Okay, so our very first root we're going to have a look at today, well, it's actually a base because it can stand on its own. We're going to look at duct today. And each new session or each new lesson, we're going to have a look at a different base or a root. And we'll do the same things with this base or root every lesson. So before we get into looking at the meaning of the base duct, let's get ourselves set up. And we're going to set up the same way every week. So you're going to need to have 2 sharp pencils or a pen. If you have a word cracking student whiteboard, you'll need that, and you'll also need a whiteboard marker ready to go with. Now, if you don't have these, your normal whiteboards will do, but we just need to make sure that we draw some lines on them to show divisions between bases, roots, prefixes, and suffixes. So students can clearly indicate to teachers that they know which are the prefixes, which are the suffixes, and which are the bases. Now, you are going to need a word cracker recording sheet. Now, this is downloadable from the paid part or the subscription part of the word cracking website. But if your teacher has a word cracking manual, it's in there in the appendix to be copied. Now, for a bit later on, you're going to need your writing book because we're going to be writing a story with this new base duct. Okay, so let's have a look at the meaning of duct. Now, duct means direction or course. I'll say that again. Duct means direction or course. So whenever you see a word with duct in it, it's something to do with direction or course. Can you please turn to your partner and in a full sentence, take turns telling each other that duct means direction or course? Okay, so duct is a base, meaning it can stand alone in a sentence. So if you've ever seen an air conditioner being installed in a house, you may have seen this large silver tubing. This stuff is called air conditioning ducting. So an air conditioner duct has the task of directing the cool air to the right room. So it sets the course of the air from the air conditioning unit to the correct part of the house. So that's an air conditioning duct. All right. So let's have a look at some words that are made up with base duct and some prefixes and suffixes, and we will fire up the word cracker. So here we go. Whoops. Okay, so here we are on the word cracking subscriber side of the web page. Let's turn on our morpheme matrices. Let's make, we're going to find base duct. There we go. And let's go to the full screen. All right, so let's bring down duct into the middle and have a look at some words. Now, before we get into this, some of you may be wondering, when you add suffixes to these words, will you have to do any tricky stuff like doubling, dropping, or changing? Now, you won't, because you'll recognize that the base duct has a vowel and 2 consonant endings. So you can see the VCC end patterning on the top of duct, and I turn that on and off by that little patterning button there. And you'll see the little tick that says just add. So that tells us that we can just add any suffix to duct. All right. So we don't need to worry about dropping, adding, or changing Y's to I's. Okie doke. So let's build our first word and have a little bit of a look at it. I'm going to bring down prefix con. We'll turn on our meanings so we can be helped with the meaning. So con means with or thoroughly. Duct means direction or course. So if we talk about our conduct, we're talking about the direction that we send our behavior in. So people might talk about how we conduct ourselves. So that's to do with the direction our behavior is going. But we can also say this word differently or look at it differently. We can put different emphasis on different syllables and we can say conduct. Or sorry, we can say conduct, excuse me. So if you know anything about electricity and electrical wiring, you know it's the job of a wire to conduct electricity along itself. So an electrical wire sets the direction or the course of the electrical current. Okay, so can you please on your whiteboards write the word conduct or conduct and shin it for your teacher. Okay, let's change our prefix over into induct and let's bring down our suffix ion, which means an act or state of. Now, if you've ever been part of a group like Scouts or you've been a student representative, council member, you may have had an induction ceremony. And that's a special ceremony we have where our direction into something, into a new group or into a new committee is celebrated. So at an induction ceremony, we celebrate the direction of ourselves into a new group or into a new role. So can everyone on their student whiteboards please write the word induction and then shin it for your teacher? Fantastic. So we're being inducted into understanding base duct today, aren't we? All right, let's get rid of our ION suffix and we'll change our prefix to deduct. Okay, so if you've ever had anything deducted from you, what that means is it was taken from you. So the course of something was set away from you or down from you. So deduct is about setting the direction or course of things away from you. So make sure that you don't get any points deducted today by doing the wrong thing when we have our cracker challenges. All right, let's pull down prefix PRO and leave duct there and go for IVE. And you know you're looking at the word productive. So productive is a really cool word because if we talk about something being productive, it means that we have set the direction of our progress or our behavior in a way that we're all in favor of. So if you have a look at the meaning under pro, it means in favor of. So if we're being productive, our behavior is directed in a way that we are in favor of. So can everyone please write productive on their whiteboard and then shin it for your teacher? So that was a very productive thing to do because your teacher got to see whether you put things in the right place. Let's bring down our second prefix, which makes this the opposite of productive. It is unproductive because prefix UN means not or the reversal of. So unproductive is the opposite of productive. Can you please now change productive to unproductive, which means you'll be putting two prefixes into the prefix part of your cracker and shin it for your teacher. Excellent, well done, and we are done. So we will clear the screen and we will go back to where we were before. Okay, so we just fired up the online word cracker. Teachers, that is available by subscription, and I'll show you a little bit more about that later. But let's move on to our Cracker Cup Challenge Part 1. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to, teacher, you decide whether students can see the morpheme matrix for duct or whether you would like students to come up with those duct words from their own brain, but that will depend on how many duct-based words that your students have in their vocabulary. In the beginning, unless you've done a brainstorm with your students and put words on the board for them to use, I would suggest letting students see the duct matrix. Teacher, your job is also to pick a time. We usually go from 90 seconds to 2 minutes, so 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes. And students, it is your task to write on your Cracker your Cracker Cup recording sheet as many duct words as you can, and make sure that your prefixes, your base duct, and your suffixes all go in the correct part of the cracker. Okay, so teacher, when you are ready, you can start the timer, and students, off you go, writing as many duct-based words as you can. Okay, so it's scoring time. So what we're trying to do is find the person or the people who managed to get the most duct words written into their cracker recording sheet as they could. Now, teacher, there's a quick way to do this. You just ask students who had 5 or more words, and you ask them to progressively put their hands down as you get higher and higher. So hands up for 5 or more words, keep your hands up if you had 10, keep your hands up if you had 15, and so on. And the person with the most duct words is our temporary holder of the Cracker Cup. However, teacher, you can also decide to bring in another protocol, which is called the challenge protocol. Now, this is explained in depth in the Cracker manual, but it basically goes like this. The student with the most duct words is then given the opportunity to, with a loud, clear voice, say their duct words. And if anybody hears a word that they think is not a real word, they can challenge that. But teacher, I'll leave you to have a bit of a look, an in-depth look at that blue box on the left, which explains this. And you can decide whether you're going to do it or not with your person who had the most duct words. All right, let's move on to Cracker Challenge Part 2. This is where we write a story, a funny or an interesting story using as many of our duct-based words from our Cracker recording sheet as we can. So this is where you're going to need to open up your book, find a spot, pop a date at the top, and get ready to write. Now, teacher, you can set up a scoring key here if you like. So for younger students, we keep it really basic. We'll just give a certain number of points for each time the base duct is used, and you can decide on that. We will also allow points for prefixes and suffixes, which are added onto our base duct. But if you want to go a little bit further, you can also give points for capitals and full stops if you're trying to encourage proper sentence writing. If you've done some work on expanding sentences, you might decide to give points for contractions like but, because, and so. But that's really up to you. So try to keep this to the complexity that your class can handle. But I've given you deliberate blank lines there. So if you are projecting onto a screen where you can write on as well, you can use those lines to show students how many points each of those things gets them. And you can go beyond that list if you like. It's completely up to you. So decide on your scoring key if you're using one. Okay, students, so books open, ready to go. Teacher, can you please tell your students how long they've got to do this task? And then, students, it is your job to write a story containing as many duct words as you can. And your time starts when your teacher tells you. Okay, kids, so if you did set up a scoring protocol, it is now time to very, very carefully score your writing. Now, this can take a little time. All right, so this is the really cool part of Cracker Cup challenges. When I train teachers to do this, we really enjoy hearing the stories that the teachers write with these words. So what you're going to do is nominate a couple of people to read their stories with their duct words out loud, but it's really important that you remember how we keep this fair. So as we hear stories, can everyone please conduct themselves respectfully as they listen to other people sharing their duct stories? So off you go, let's hear them. Okay, so that's the end of the Cracker Cup challenge for today. Hope you enjoyed our first one, and there are more to come. So teachers, this is the wordcracking.xyz website. So if you would like to have a look at a subscription so you can get onto the back end of this and get our resources, there are our subscription costs there. You can go to www.wordcracking.xyz and make sure that you have access to the full suite, including the actual word cracker itself, which we used a little while earlier. Okay, so that's the end of our session on duct, which means direction or course. So can you please make sure that you have a cracking day? And thanks for being part of Cracker Cup Challenge number 1.